forget.
Should I tell everyone in the thread that it's starting?
Yeah, tell them to hurry up. We're super organized around here.
It's all right. You guys are fine.
My computer is making noise.
Close Facebook.
Okay. All right. So, take it away, Ashley.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I love speaking at retreats. This is always such a fun time for you guys. So I'm just going to give you a little background on me. I did do the whole fun Emerald to 5-star Elite last year, so I'll walk you guys kind of through that and give you some of my biggest takeaways. And more than any rank, more than any stat, the important things that helped me get there, which have nothing to do with that. I've been a coach in this business. I just hit my 2-year mark. I started when my little guy was 3 months old. I was just going back to work after my maternity leave, and I didn't have a fun maternity leave. He was colicky, he didn't sleep, and I spent 2 months of that worrying if I had a rare form of breast cancer that was being mimicked with breastfeeding. And so I have a very strong why for this business. In those 2 months, I realized that I wanted to be at home. As a nurse practitioner, I worked every other night, every other weekend, every other holiday, and I didn't want to miss that time, because in those moments where I didn't know if I was going to be around to watch him have his first birthday, it was all the little things. It was, being there for his first day of school, being there when, he had his first dance, when he got married, when he became a dad himself. And so I didn't want to miss that anymore. And I jumped into this business, you guys. I have no Beachbody background. My only Beachbody background is I ran college track and cross country, and I had a pirated copy of P90X abs. So I knew who Tony Horton was, but that was about it. I didn't know about any of the workouts. I didn't come in this as a challenger who had the experience. So I didn't even know that Fixate existed on the on-demand with all those recipes until like 3 months into my business. So I had nothing, no business background, just a really strong why. I always have loved health and fitness. I've always loved helping people. And I thought, well, if I can get into shape and maybe help one other person and earn a chance to be at home with my son, then why not? I had just so happened to stumble upon a gold mine. Holly Hillier is my upline. She's a top 10 coach in the company, but I didn't know any of that. And I didn't know any of that coming into this. I just saw a mama who had what I wanted, and I was going to do what she did. So I started my business. I am someone who hates to ask people for stuff. Like, you asking me, like, go door to door and sell Girl Scout cookies when I was a kid didn't happen, because I just don't like to ask people to buy stuff. So when I started my business, I just started doing free groups. I was told I had to run this challenge group thing. I had to get people in. My very first group was like my family members, and I begged my mom to go for a walk and post in the group during the day. Like, that's how I started running my groups. But I started to see the value in letting people try it first. And that was something easy for me to invite to. So I launched my business. I was working full time. Life was crazy, but this gave me purpose and meaning again. It just totally set my heart on fire. About 3 months into my business, I hit Diamond, and I was on a roll. I was like, hell yeah, like, it was my first month ever hitting Success Club 10. So I was not this crazy high Success Club person. I hit Success Club, and I have hit Success Club every single month in my business. But I hit that, and I'm like, all right, we're going, let's go. The next month was Team Cup month. I kind of like the Beat Your Best, but it was like, we do that as a team. And I reached up to Holly and said, I want to be on your team. I'm on a roll. I want to do this. I'm going to crush this with you. And I went into that month and completely changed. I'm very competitive. And so that came out, and I did a free group, but instead of like all this value and content, it was like, here's a steal in Shakeology. Like, how many ways can I try and sell you on this? And I completely stepped away from everything I did in my business before. It was my worst month ever. I managed to hit Success Club 12, but it was because I have a cousin who's a teacher, like, guru on Instagram, and gave me a shout out, and I got some signups, and we missed hitting the rank in our region by 1 sign up that month. Talk about like stab in the heart. I totally bombed. It was horrible. And here I am, brand new Diamond, thinking, okay, this is like the big thing you work for, right? Diamond, you're on a Diamond retreat, top 1% of the company, all the fun stuff. I am not making that much money. I don't know what the heck they were talking about. I'm putting in all this time. I'm still working full time. Like, what am I doing? I'm sacrificing time with my family to grow this business. And I had to sit down and think, okay, you can either call this quits now. You gave it your best effort, right? Not right, but you can call it quits and go back. You had the great job as a nurse practitioner, work that, or you can think about, why did you start this business? And for me, I started this business to get my health in my own hands, to pay it forward to others, and to have a chance to be at home with my son. And when I sat down and thought about it, there was no plan B for me. I did not want to go back to that crazy healthcare schedule, and I didn't want that to be my life. And yes, there's other options in healthcare, but I also wanted satisfaction too. I love emergency medicine. That's where I want to be, and the emergency room never closes. So it's either you do that and have this job that you like and you miss out on everything in your family, or you figure out what it takes to make this work. And so I had to go back to, what did you do in the beginning that worked well for you? You helped people, right? Like what good coaches should be doing, and I wasn't. So I went back to my clients and I asked them, what are you guys struggling with? Hello, I should have been doing this, but I wasn't. And if you get to that point where you're like not asking your people what they need help with, it's okay. Here's your friendly reminder. And they wanted help with meal prepping. Of all things, I hate to meal prep. So I went out, I did the world's fastest meal prep ever because I hate to do it. And they loved it. And I said, okay, let's do this in a free group. Let's see if people like it. And it exploded. So many people wanted help with nutrition. So I started to gain back this momentum. And I led my businesses run through free groups. And I can run through that if you guys have questions on it towards the end. But the thing was, I wasn't providing the value and content that I should be. I wasn't truly helping people, which is the premise of this business. And so we started doing that, started getting that momentum back, and I started to find my fire again. If you would have asked me, and actually my upline did, like the beginning of last year, she goes, what do you want to be this year, elite or premier? And I looked at her and I don't know, which one's better? We'll go for it. I didn't know. I didn't know the backgrounds of elite. I didn't know how the points worked. I was just like, I'm just going to show up and do my best and help people and get there. And it is good to know those things, but it's also not so like to be your only focus, because when I got focused on those things, I stopped focusing on what was so important in my business. And so we kind of trucked on. My diamond retreat came up. I wasn't going to go because I didn't have anybody to watch my kids. So my husband, my 1-year-old, and my German Shepherd all drove with me to Florida so I could go to this retreat. And that is a huge way. So like being together with your team is such a huge way to build momentum. And then we just kind of carried it on through the year. I'm going to walk you guys through, if I could tell you like the 5 biggest things that I think helped me last year to take that momentum and get to the end of the year. We ended up October 1st, or actually in July, I became a 1-star. October 1st, I was still a 1-star diamond coach. So you guys, like right now, last year, I was a 1-star diamond coach. I had a couple of others that were potentials and popped. I became 3-star, and we did the crash diet version. I had some people that were willing to run, and by Thanksgiving, we hit 5-star. So I'm here to tell you, even if you're sitting here like as a diamond coach, you could still end the year 5-star. It's possible. But also too, like thinking to next year, like don't get frustrated if things aren't happening. So let's run you through these 5 things that I think helped. First, like, and this stuff is going to sound so simple. And I've done this call on like with other top coaches. And I always say like, this is not to insult anybody, but sometimes I needed to hear that it wasn't anything magical that did the elite. It was in the daily grind, and it was all the little things consistently built up over time that got me there. First things first, and this is not, and you guys know this, you're here on this retreat, you guys have earned your spot here, but doing those vital behaviors, right? Like doing those things every single day, those non-pretty things. And my biggest thing, excuse me, to do those is having a strong why. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't like sending invites. They never get easier. I don't like doing them. But for me, sitting down and doing those is everything for me, because one, that sends an invite to someone whose life I could change. I think of a family friend that I have who she joined my groups because I invited her to a free group. She has lost over 50 pounds, happier than she's ever been. And one day she messaged me and said, Ashley, thank you so much for just reaching out to me. Today we went to the grocery store and my daughter looked up at me and said, Mommy, this is the healthiest grocery cart we've ever had. And she said, you're not only changing my life, you're changing my daughter's life. So when I get in my head about sending those stupid invites, I think about her and I think about her life, and I sit down and I do it. I also think of my son, I think of my husband. My room is filled with pictures of my kids because if I don't get up and grow this business, I don't get to be at home with them. And I got to go back to a job that I was miserable in and hated and was not my best version for them. So I think of them and I get up and I just do it. Having that strong why that's bigger than sending an invite, that's bigger than putting out some post on social media that makes you uncomfortable. That is what fueled me to get up and do it every day. And then having a big goal, like what's your dream goal? Dream goal in this business, you put in the work, you can achieve it. Where do you want to be? And writing that down and having that in front of you, and then taking it all the way back to what's the very first thing that I need to do to start working towards this thing. Because this is a big, pretty thing, but it's going to take a lot of steps. And so just focusing on one step at a time. So, for me, at first it was running your groups, right? Talking about those. Then it was actually doing my own sneak peek. Once I hit diamond, it was like, all right, I got to find these business builders and really putting in the time, setting that small goal, setting a date when you want to reach it by, and having a plan of action of how you're going to do it. So that would be my first thing for you guys. The second thing, giving back to your business. And this comes in a couple of different forms. One, providing value and content for people. Anytime I want to have a huge month, anytime I want to rank advance, I think, how can I provide more value and content? How can I give more? An example of this, and this is something I did on purpose, I like to do healthy remakes, and I made up this healthy cinnamon roll remake, and I posted it one day, and I said, hey, this is something all my clients get in their virtual recipe book, like basically just trying to sell people on it, right? Like, sign up with me, you'll get this recipe. Nobody responded, crickets, nothing. I kind of expected that. The next day, I put it back out there and said, hey, here's this recipe. Everybody's been asking me for it. Just drop an emoji below and I'll send it to you. They drop an emoji below because they want the free recipe. I'll send it to them, but it's going to be at the bottom of my newsletter that's got information about my upcoming challenge groups and coaching, so they at least have to scroll through that if they're going to take my free recipe. I ended up getting 2 to 3 signups out of it just because I gave something first. And that's just a small example, but I like to share that because it was a pretty good test and it was crazy the difference in the response. Free groups is also where I provide that value and content. Let them in, come try stuff for free first, and then investing back in your business. So for me, I knew if I wanted to grow a 6 to 7 figure business, like I can't just sit here and pay my $15 coach fee a month and expect this to grow quickly. I want to find some ways that I can put in a little bit to my business that's going to give back to me and make some smart moves. When I first started this business, Facebook was really cool and everybody loved Facebook. So I invested in how to learn how to run ads on Facebook and how to target my people. You might not want to do that today because Facebook isn't that cool, but that came back to me. I took a time to invest into a training that then led to lots of clients. I am someone who struggles to grow my Instagram account. And so it became a point where I found someone who could really find my people. I invested money in him to grow my Instagram because if I spent, I thought if I spend $100 a month and you grow my Instagram and I get maybe 1 or 2 people and one of those becomes a coach, that's a great investment because that's going to make me more money. I like to do in my free groups. This is a tip for you guys. If you're going to run a free group, to encourage participation, I do a gift card giveaway at the end. If they do the workouts during the group, they post to the group and they comment on other people's posts. Every time I do that in a free group, the engagement is through the roof and I end up getting a lot more signups. That one $25 gift card investment, like always comes back to me. So simple ways like that you think, how can I give back to my business? And maybe like my new coaches, they take 10% of what you made in your Beachbody business and give back. Maybe that's 2 or 3 shake samples to create engagement on your page or on your stories, whatever it might be. Find some ways that you can make some smart choices to put a little bit in to get a lot back. All right, the next step, talking about coaching in some way, shape, or form every single day. My upline stressed to me, if you want to grow this business, you got to find a team to run with you. And it's so true. I mean, you get to a point where you have X amount of clients, like in one, you can only, if you want to give them a good challenge group, like you can only have so many people. You can only spread yourself so thin. You have got to find those coaches to run this business with you. And so that was a trust thing for me. And there was a lot of things in this business. I'm like, all right, she's successful. She said, do it. Whatever, I'm going to do it. So that was one of those things I just talked about it. And in so many different ways, so many different forms, I talked about when I first started, my very first coaching post was me with my headphones in, listening to the National Wake Up Call, removing wallpaper from my bathroom saying, I'm growing a 6-figure business while I work on my house. Like I wasn't near to that 6-figure business, but I was going to grow it. And so I painted that picture of where I wanted to go, and I let people come on with me every step of the journey. So when I made that first paycheck and it paid for our car payment that month, I celebrated it. And I talked about where I wanted to go, and they got to see me like go from full-time as a nurse practitioner to part-time. They got to see me come down 2 days a week. They got to see me like the first time ever I got that holiday schedule and there was no Christmas or Thanksgiving, like praise Jesus, I celebrated that and I took people on that journey with me. So wherever you are in your business, talk about those goals and talk about those things often so people can see it. Those posts don't always get the most engagement. I'm gonna tell you the right people are watching them, because I can't tell you how many times like nobody's seen my coaching posts and people are like, I've been watching you for years. I'm like, okay, thanks, stalker. You could have at least liked something, but I did the same thing. So it's all good. Okay, next thing, stepping out of comfort zones. For me, I can look back and see where I got comfortable in my business. I wasn't doing new things. I wasn't trying anything new. And my business stalled. So I had to think, just like exercise and your nutrition, if you're just kind of going through the motions, you're doing the stuff, you're checking off the stuff in the challenge tracker, right? Like you're doing all the things, but you're not getting the results. It's the same thing in your exercise. If you're not pushing in your workouts, if you're really not eating as good as you think you're eating, and maybe you're even tracking that you're eating better, you're not going to get the results. And so you have to push out of that comfort zone. Beginning, it was live videos. I was horrible on live videos, hated doing them. You want to laugh, scroll back on my Facebook page and watch the first ones. They're horrible. But I just showed up and I did them. Then it was running coaching sneak peeks. Doing that was a step out of my comfort zone. When I sat at my diamond retreat, I barely had a team under me. I don't know what possessed me to do this. I don't know. It's the magic of the retreat. I reached out to my upline and said, hey, the next time you do one of these, I want to co-host it with you and I want to bring a team. I don't know why I did that, but I just felt called to do it and I did. And that was one of the huge things that helped push my coaches at the end of the year to hit diamond and to help us get to that 5-star rank. So it was one of those things like, I don't know where these people are going to come from, but I know if I put it out there and I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find it. So putting that pressure on myself to do that. And 2, for me, it was taking little extra pushes. So I might have stepped down to part-time before I was fully replacing my part-time income as a nurse practitioner. But for me, I knew if I put that pressure on myself and my family, I wasn't going to go back. So I was going to have to do that. Like I just made those little steps along the way and never put our family in financial trouble. Don't ever put your family in financial trouble. But if you can, and you can swing it for a month or 2 till you can make up that momentum, do it. Go for it. I just had a coach this week. She works in healthcare and she's been wanting to like step back at work and go PRN. And finally, it was that holiday schedule waved in her face and she did it. And she is like on fire. Her team is just like the momentum that's happening for them is insane. And now it's going to continue because she can put in more time. So take those risks if you can and find ways to push yourself and grow. So if you've not done that sneak peek, if you've not run that ad you wanted to run, whatever it might be, think about that thing you wanted to do and just 1, 2, 3 and do it. Next thing is having a business activity. So you want to grow this business, you want to be the CEO, you have to get organized. And I'm normally so type A. When I started this business, you guys, I can't tell you how many hours I worked. Excuse me. My kid was colicky. I was all over the place. I had no schedule. I had no system. And I know I missed people in the process. What helped me so much was sitting down every month and having my plan. So, all right, next week we're starting the work challenge group. So this week before, I'm going to be talking about health and fitness. The following week, we're going to do our coaching sneak peek. So I'm going to do a lot more coaching posts. And just having that plan for myself really helped me stay organized and finding a system. Systems have become like, I'm getting ready to have baby number 2 in a couple months. And I'm like, I have got to have my crap organized. Google Streak has been the newest one that I've been using and really, really enjoying, just to track people and have them in a list and have them in a system so that people aren't falling through the cracks. that has been super, super helpful. Before that, I just used a Google spreadsheet, and I use my Google Calendar to track, okay, you send a challenge pack to them, you better make a reminder to follow up with them in 3 days. But making sure you're organized and taking the time to get it right. Like I used to think, oh, well, I'll just do it later. Well, guess what? Then you have all these clients, you're losing track of them. You need to have some kind of systems in place. So whatever it works well for you, something digital if possible. Some of my newer coaches are like, I'm just gonna do pen and paper. I'm like, that works great until you get into this for a little bit, or until your kid spills coffee all over, or you do. If I'm pregnant, I can spill something on it and break it. So something that on Google that they back it up for you. All right, and the last thing for you guys is becoming your own leader. So you guys have incredible resources on your team. You have all of this in one another, but at some point, you have to become the own leader for your own team. So you have to step up and take that role. And I tell people, you'll know when it's time. Like I started my own team page when I had 1 or 2 coaches, and we had it, and it wasn't very active, but it was there. And as it became time to push for those bigger goals, I stood up as a leader and my team followed. I thought in the push to elite, like, how do I make this not about me? Because you hit elite, I got to walk across the stage. I got the fun stuff. I got a bonus, and this is part of the thing that I helped for the team. We took that team bonus. If we hit elite at the end of the year, we were going on a team retreat. If everybody hit, so that was part of the push to do it as a team. And they really just instilled in them the tools and resources. I would not be sitting here talking to your team, and I wouldn't have all these amazing people come speak on my team if I didn't have the chance to become that leader for myself and be in Roundtable, which is an incredible resource. And then at Summit this year, it really showed me why it was so important. Well, I hit elite, and I had that cool picture up on the wall. I got to walk across the stage, and all of a sudden, my team wanted to do it too. You have to be the one to go first for your team. You have to be the one to show them the way. And I think back to my journey. If my coach would have never wanted to be an elite coach or a top 10 coach, I wouldn't have those goals. If she wouldn't have talked about wanting to retire her husband, that probably wouldn't be on my vision board either. But taking that time to step up and be that own leader for your own crew of people that you're bringing on, or even if they're not there, starting those practices, or even if you are the coach who maybe you have some people, they ain't running this business. Like, let's be real. They ain't showing up for team calls. They ain't doing crap. I went through this phase where I was showing up for calls and like 1 or 2 people would come, like, this is a waste of my time. And I listened to another training, and another coach was going through the same thing. And she's like, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? And her husband looked at her and said, well, they're not showing up, but you are. And when the right people come along, they're going to so appreciate you for it. And that so stood out to me because I wanted this business and I wanted to find the people that wanted to run. So I created those habits early. And now that I've found them and they're running with me, I've got it all there and ready. And just make sure you're having fun with this, because this is such a blessing, you guys. Any day that I think, okay, sending those invites is horrible, or I don't want to get up at 4:30 in the morning and do it, or I just don't want to, I think about what a blessing this is. That we can sit from anywhere. We can help people change their lives. Like, that was my whole goal in healthcare. You don't need a healthcare degree to completely reverse someone's high cholesterol, to completely reverse someone's risk for a heart attack, stroke. Like, you get to show up and do this every single day. And that is something so cool and something so fun to be celebrated. And when you're having fun in this business, your clients are going to have fun and your coaches are going to have fun, and that energy is contagious. So if there's something that you love to do, like I love to bake, so I make healthy remakes. That's fun for me. I love to be in my challenge group with my clients, helping them, like, do the fun stuff and have fun with it, because that's what this is all about, and your energy is contagious. All right, so the tacticals for you guys that I would tell you, just some 5 takeaways to do, is write down your why and have a visual representation for yourself. So for whenever you need to be motivated, you've got something so strong that's going to make you do it. Set your one long-term goal, have it in front of you, but then go all the way back to the very first thing that you need to do to start working to get there, and have a plan of action for it. Do a business audit. Are you giving enough content and value? Where can I give more? We can always give more. So think about where you can do that. Am I talking about coaching every single day? It's really easy when you're on a retreat. So maybe make that a check mark every day. I'm talking about coaching in some way, shape, or form. And it doesn't have to be a call to action. It can be something, hey, I'm on my computer helping to pay for my family's vacation, simple stuff. But make sure you're talking about coaching every single day. Next thing is, what have I done out of my comfort zone to move my business forward? And then what is the next thing that I know I need to do that I'm not quite doing, that I just need to take the leap and just do it? Then think about your marketing plan. And are you being organized? Are you being efficient? Are you being a good CEO for your company and having a plan of action in place? And then, are you becoming your own leader? Have you made your own team page? Have you talked about your own team? Are you setting that vision and belief for where you want to go? And this is the thing too, like, you guys, I had all the resources, right? I had a top 10 team. Like, still use those. Still use all your tools and resources that you guys have, but make some things your own. And that will start creating that leadership in you for when your team comes along. And then I said have fun, but part of it too is practicing gratitude and affirmations. That has helped me. And every morning I do that. I get up and I say, what am I thankful for? And I say my affirmations. So things that you want to be in this business. I want to be a 2-star coach. I am a 2-star coach. So maybe you're sitting here, Diamond, you're saying, I am a 2-star coach. I am an elite coach. I am a good leader. I am dedicated. Like, those types of things. Just doing those every morning puts me in the right frame of mind and reminds me of how special this is. So from my journey, I started 2 years ago. About a year in, I was able to drop down to like part-time nurse practitioner, and then rather quickly just to PRN. I now only go to work just to remind myself of why I hustle and why I don't want to go back to work. So every couple months I'll pick up a 6-hour shift, and that's enough for me. Home full time. Last year, I don't even know where we started the year ranked last year. We were Emerald. We finished ranked 168 in the company, 5-star elite. And this year we're currently ranked 162, and we just locked in elite. So we've got elite locked in for this year. And the biggest thing, you guys, is like, this is just so fun for me, and just being home and having that flexibility and doing something I love. So if you guys have any questions for me, if there's something you want me to dive in deeper, please let me know. And thank you guys so much for having me on today.
Yes, thank you so much. That was awesome. Does anyone have questions?
How often are you running free groups?
How often are you? Did you hear that?
Yeah. My standard is 1 a month. If it's a big month, like something I'm really pushing for, we'll do 2.
Anyone else? I have a question. So Ashley, obviously had a ton of success once you finally kind of got your ball rolling with momentum. How did you deal with, because when you hear your story, we can easily say like, oh gosh, she just got momentum and started going, and then it's been just easy for her ever since, and she's just riding that high. But I'm sure there was some point along the way where you set a goal and you massively failed, or you didn't hit something that you wanted. So how did you deal with that setback, and then how to pick it back up and continue on?
Yeah. This business is a freaking roller coaster. So it was not just all the way up to the top and great. After we did that push to elite last year, we crash diet versioned it, and we crashed and burned afterwards. I went from 5-star at the beginning of January down to 1-star. And that was me, myself, and I, all by myself. Only one of those coaches is still working. But it came down to me, it really just became, failure is not an option for me in this business. And when that momentum comes down, it's just going to be trial and error again until I figure out what gets it going. I really struggled to recruit coaches in the beginning of this year. I think with the Facebook switch and everything, I had really struggled. And it took me a good 6 months to pick back up my recruiting for coaching. But the biggest thing, when you guys get that dip in momentum, you just have to know that failure is not an option. And if one thing's not working, right, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, just like that program is insane with Shanti. But anyways, it's really just about trying different things and knowing that failure is not an option. So you're going to figure it out, and really having that why to push you through that. And it can be hard when you miss a goal or you don't get where you want to be. But at the end of the day too, if it's a rank goal or if it's something like that, I had to tell myself that's not what's important. am I helping people every day? Am I showing up every day just to try and change one person's life? If that's the case, then I'm good. And then we just have to step by step figure out how to get that ball rolling again.
This is kind of more of a family like lifestyle question, but how did you balance, like, did you have any big family shifts? Like we've moved 3 times in 3 months. So have you had any family shifts going on while you were trying to continue to run and push? And if you did, how did you stay focused, I guess, and organized during that?
Yeah. So we actually had a big one. When I started this business, my dream job in the ER was 600 miles away from our friends and family. We lived in South Carolina. And in March of this year, we moved back home. And in the midst of that, I had a miscarriage. The weekend we moved home, my dad almost fell over dead of a massive heart attack. And then you're at home now. So time where I might just be doing random work, family was popping in. So in the midst of all that crazy, this was my thing that I knew provided stability for me and that mental outlook for me. So when we were moving, like I just had to tell myself, do the things that you have to do to move your business forward. Those little things every single day. Through the midst of loss and those things, instead of when life got tough for me running away from my business, I ran to it because this was starting to give me all those, the things that I had wanted. So, and it too, like when things are crazy, just being super organized when life is changing and setting apart those times. I'm pregnant now, so I can't do Energize, but back then, man, it was like, give me all the Energize in the world. I'll just get up earlier and get it done first thing in the morning. Then I can do whatever happens.
Thank you.
Yeah, hope that helps.
I drink Energize every day during my pregnancy.
So did I.
I just, not the amount I was drinking before.
No. Anybody else? Okay, well, I'll keep going.
All right, ask away.
I would love to hear how you run your free groups, where you get your content or ideas, etc.
Awesome. So I do 5-day free groups, Monday through Friday. I run them in Facebook. I do a completely new group each time. So the old group gets archived and I add new people into the new group each time. They are generally the same structure. I might pick like August, we did a little bit more back to schoolish. But my 5-day free group, I get people in those with nutrition. So what I've learned is people have to eat. So they tend to like to come in for healthy recipes, simple recipes, meal prep. And then I kind of trick them into the whole exercise thing with that gift card giveaway that I do. So they come in, they're wanting some nutrition. We say, hey, we're going to teach you guys all this stuff. But if you we use Clean Week. If you do 3 of those workouts during the 5 days, you post 3 times to the group during those 5 days, and you comment on 3 other people's posts, you have a $25 Amazon gift card at the end. So that encourages people to try the workouts, to post to the group, and collaborate with one another. During the week, I share a lot of nutrition tips. I share a lot of those recipes that I like to do, but you guys, you could take your favorite Beachbody recipes. I like to provide value that's outside of Beachbody. So I try and go live. I'll show them like some of my kitchen staples and just try and teach as much as I can in that group. We do little daily giveaways to also help with engagement. So like Monday might be Motivational Monday. And so we're getting them talking about what motivates them and their why. We're kind of setting them up. It's almost like a prep week or a challenge group. And those are things too. Say someone does join and they can't exercise, like those are things that they can participate in. Because I've had clients who can't exercise and have massive results with 2B Mindset. So we do stuff that's good for them too. And then that makes your invite to a challenge group super easy. So after the group, I reach out and say, hey, Mary, how'd your week go? They can say, my week went awesome. I absolutely loved it. Great. I'm hosting a 21-day group next week. I'd love to have you come join us. Would you be interested? Or they say, no, my week was horrible. The kids were sick. Work was crazy. And I say, hey, I'm so sorry to hear that. Why don't we slow some things down? We're going to start this 21-day group next week. We'll sit down and work one-on-one, come up with a schedule that works well for your busy lifestyle and just help you find some consistency. So there's that invite. If they ghost me, I follow up with them one more time. They ghost me again, they're on my follow-up list to invite to my free group again in 3 months. So it makes it pretty simple to have a good system. So then you're always having people to invite.
You said that you have them do 3 workouts from Clean Week and post it 3 different times. Do you have the wall open, or do you have like a post, like a check-in post at night where they post underneath it, or how do you?
Yeah, they just post to the group.
And they have to comment on 3 other people's posts, you said? Sometimes.
Yep.
And everyone gets a $25 gift card, or you do a drawing?
Just one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one.
I have a question. Approximately how many hours a day would you say that you spend on your business?
Now so my schedule now, I don't do as much in the morning because I'm pregnant and super tired. I normally get up between 5 and 6 and I work till 8 or 9. So normally like 2 to 3 hours in the morning. And then I do 3 hours in the afternoon when my son is napping. So I'm probably doing 5 to 6 hours a day. Fluctuating depending on if I have a team call. I do 1 night a week. We have team calls. And then if he is like my little guy's playing and he's content, I'll do a few things, but probably 5 to 6.
Did you work more in the beginning, less in the beginning?
That's so hard. Like I couldn't tell you guys how much I worked in the beginning because I used every little crack of my day. Like if I was getting ready in the morning, I was listening to national wake up calls on my phone. If I was breastfeeding in the middle of the night, struggling to stay awake, I was checking with my clients. I think probably close to the same. I think in some push seasons last year, I was definitely working more. My big thing this year is kind of like not doing less work, but working smarter, not harder. So getting those systems in place, like Google Streak and those types of things, because I'm like a mom of 2, I ain't gonna have any freaking time. So I got to figure out how to have those systems in place.
I have a question. When you started running your own coaching sneak peeks and it was just kind of you at the beginning, how did you structure those? How did you structure those?
I use Facebook groups, and I did my very first one 3 months into the business. And I basically just reached out to my clients and said, hey, this is the first time I'm doing this. Would you just do me a favor and hop in this group and comment on some posts so I have some people in there? And it turned out that a couple of them signed up to coach. So I do, and I still run them pretty much the same. Normally they're five short videos, who I am, how I got into coaching, what it means to be a coach. I talk about limiting beliefs or skepticisms that hold people back. I do one on income, and then my team and getting started. I still run some in Facebook sneak peeks. I'm not seeing the result from that now. I do a lot. I do run Instagram ads for coaching now that seems to be working really well. And then I just send them when they're interested. I send them a newsletter with my last sneak peek videos in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody? Okay, I have one more.
Go for it.
You talked about investing back in your business. And I know a lot of times I feel like there are a million rabbits to chase. So how do you find like what you want to invest in and where, and knowing that it's good quality? So I know you talked about you did like a Facebook training. How did you know that that was going to be a good training, that was going to be beneficial and give back to you? Yeah.
That in the beginning, and actually a lot of it is my upline, Holly. I just look at what she's doing and see what's working well for her, and I do it to fit for me for whatever like my goals are. So I know a lot of people like get into the comparison trap, and it can be easy to do. I'm just like, what's working for them? They're successful, they're top coaches. If they're doing something that's working, I'm going to try and do that. So that's kind of how I picked what I needed to invest in, is just asking other people who were seeing success.
What would be your biggest tip in mentoring new coaches?
My biggest tip is that you can give 100 people the same exact resources, and the ones who want it are going to run with it, and the ones who aren't. I have struggled with, I brought in so many coaches. It's like, why are you successful and why are you not? It's finding the right people. And I think it's doing the legwork ahead of time, like letting them see what's possible. And then, if they see this is possible, they'll come in and they'll do the work. I think it's truthfully all in finding the right people. And then when they do start, keeping it simple, not making it like elaborate trainings or anything like that. The best thing I ever did was our new coach training that they used to go through was 17 hours of videos. You want to guess how many of my coaches completed that? 0. So I broke it down into a total of 1 hour of videos to get them started. And that's like the basic stuff, like how to do share a cart, how I run a free group, how to post. And then after they do that, they put things into action, like getting them started early. And then they have additional trainings as things come up. So I think like just keeping it so simple when they start is helpful. And they will then run their first free group either with me or in their first month. And so I really encourage them to get inviting to that. And having them do those free groups is something easier to invite to than having them straight up invite to a challenge group, because cost objection is a big thing for a lot of my new coaches. So just getting them to have people in and engaging in a group is really helpful for them too.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. So I guess, do you have a system in a sense where you have like a whole week you're inviting to your free group, and then you have a week where you're inviting to your sneak peek, and then a week where you're inviting to your, like, how does that work? Like, as far as, I know when I have a free group going on, I send out like 1 million invites, and then I'm like, next week, I'm like, well, now I want to invite them to this kind of thing. How do you do that?
Yeah, so the bulk of my like true invites come the week before a free group, like straight up like, hey, I'm hosting this free group next week. Would you be interested in joining? Those, like, I do a ton the week before that. And then like the rest of the month, you know, I'll have like a month where I'm doing call to actions on my page for coaching, or a week where I'm doing those types of things. But it's more, my invites turn more into connection. Like, so just connecting with people, scrolling through their social media, those types of things. So I'm not necessarily one who does 5 invites a day on the Success Club tracker. Like, I'm going to get all of those types of invites done the week before my free group. And then the rest of the month, it's really just connecting with people. But I will do, so I'll have a free group. So that's like the bulk of my focus the week before a free group. And then after that free group, it normally leads into a full challenge group. So then I can invite to that even the week after. And then the rest of the month, it's all to coaching. And I normally try and do those free groups early in the month because I want to hit Success Club early and often. So I want to get that done and out of the way first thing. Now, depending on the month, some things change, but I try and do those in the beginning so I know like where I'm sitting for the month, because that's where the vast majority of my Success Club points come from.
Anybody else have questions?
I have another question. It kind of goes back to schedule and like how many hours a day you spend. I know you said that you have a child. Like, what is your like kind of daily? I mean, you don't have to go hour by hour, but kind of like what is your daily life look like that you're able to get in 6 hours? Because I have 2 kids and I can't imagine like where I could fit that time in.
Yeah, so I do a lot of my work early in the morning. My little guy goes to bed late and he sleeps in. So I normally will get up. I'm gonna tell you not pregnant life because I'm a little abnormal right now. Normally I'll get up at 4 or 4:30 and I will work my business until he gets up between 8 or 9. We eat breakfast. He works out with me. I do not work out when he's sleeping because he doesn't mind playing while I'm working out. So we do our workout together, eat lunch, hang out till he takes a nap. And then when he takes his nap from 2 to 5 p.m., I'm working my business. I'm not doing dishes in those time. I'm not doing laundry in that time, unless I get my work done. But if I'm doing dishes and laundry in that time, I have my headphones in doing personal development or a training call I want to listen to. And then in the evening, it's pretty much family time. Unless I have a team call, I'll do a team call from 8 to 9, and that's it.
When you were, so I don't have kids, but I work full time. So when you were working full time, how can you talk about how you fit it in then?
Yeah, it was scattered. It was just any pocket that I had to use, I could. So my life wasn't structured either. In healthcare, I did swing shifts. So one day I could go in at 6 a.m. and get off at 4 p.m. And then the next night I could be there till 1 o'clock in the morning. So when I was working long shifts, I didn't do much work that day, but I would do a little bit more on my days off. It was really just doing what I could with what I had. And I tell my coaches that, like, if you want to go all in, like, go all in with what you have to give. it was just a lot of multitasking. So if I was in the shower, I set my phone up right by the shower so I could listen to a training call. It was just using all those little pockets of my day so that, and I didn't listen to music in the radio anymore. I always, if I was driving, I was listening to a training call. And I mean, I just, on days I need to do more, I sacrifice sleep to get it done. And trust me, I still slept because I don't like to be tired. But when you're in the grind of doing the work, it's just knowing, like having that power hour and knowing the things you have to do every day and just making it non-negotiable that you get it done. Laying in bed at night was when I wrote my best post, or if I was out on a walk. So I would take time to go do that and make sure I had my post written up for the week. Like bulking your work too. So if you're off on a weekend, maybe on Sunday, writing out all of your posts, or we would go take a bunch of different pictures. Like I just get dressed and we just change outfits and have a bunch of different pictures ready. So I knew, okay. And when I started, you guys had to post 3 to 4 times a day on Facebook. So I would just have them typed up in a note ready to go. And on any break at work or when I went to the bathroom, I did my post in the bathroom and back to work I went.
A lot of this should sound very familiar, y'all.
Yeah.
Sometimes it helps to hear from a different person. Same.
Yeah. Well, I was breastfeeding when I went back to work, so I used that pumping time. Like, oh, sorry, y'all are busy. I gotta go pump. I'm gonna explode. I had to go spend 20 minutes pumping. But I mean, if you got a lunch break, like it was not using the lunch break to sit and chat. It was I am working. So there's just a lot of when I could do it.
No more questions? Okay, awesome. Thank you so
Thank you so much